The Zinthari armada had conquered 47 worlds in their relentless march across the Orion Arm. Their reputation preceded them like a shadow swallowing stars. When their war council identified Earth as their next target, the decision was unanimous and swift. The third planet from an unremarkable yellow star would fall within a solar cycle, they calculated. After all, humanity had barely ventured beyond their own moon when the Zinthari first took to the void. Commander Thrax stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Dominion, his four eyes gleaming with anticipation as the fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. 3,000 warships materialized in perfect formation, their hulls bristling with plasma cannons and particle beam arrays. It was more firepower than had been necessary for any previous conquest. But the War Council had detected unusual electromagnetic signatures emanating from Earth. Better to ensure complete victory than risk complications. "Scan the system," Thrax commanded, his translator converting his clicking mandibles into standard galactic common. "Locate their primitive defense installations." The sensor officer's antennae twitched nervously. "Commander, I'm detecting multiple energy signatures. Thousands of them. They're everywhere." Thrax's confidence wavered for the first time in his 20-year military career. "Elaborate." "Sir, there are human vessels between Jupiter and Mars, more near their moon. Dozens in low orbit around Earth itself. The signatures are reading as fusion drives? And these power outputs..." The officer's voice trailed off in disbelief. "How many vessels?" Thrax demanded. "Initial count suggests 12,000, sir, and still detecting more." The bridge fell silent except for the ambient hum of the ship's systems. 12,000 vessels from a species that supposedly had barely achieved spaceflight. Impossible. It had to be a sensor malfunction. "Hail them," Thrax ordered. "Let's hear what these primitives have to say before we reduce their fleet to debris." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a human female in a crisp military uniform, her dark eyes cold and calculating. Behind her, dozens of personnel worked at stations displaying tactical data that made Thrax's throat sacs constrict. The technology looked advanced, frighteningly so. "I am Admiral Chen of the United Earth Defense Fleet," she said, her voice steady and measured. "You have violated Sol system sovereignty. You have one opportunity to withdraw peacefully." Thrax's mandibles clicked in what his species considered laughter. "I am Commander Thrax of the Zinthari Armada. We do not withdraw. We conquer. Your fleet may outnumber ours, but quantity means nothing against superior Zinthari engineering. We have crushed civilizations far older than yours." Admiral Chen's expression didn't change. "You've made your choice. Humanity accepts your surrender in advance." The transmission cut out before Thrax could respond. Arrogant creatures, these humans. He would enjoy watching their world burn. All ships attack formation. Target their largest concentrations. Show them the price of defiance. The Zinthari fleet surged forward, their weapon systems charging. They had covered half the distance to Mars when the first human missile salvos arrived. They came in waves that blotted out the stars. Thousands upon thousands of projectiles, each moving at relativistic speeds, each equipped with nuclear warheads that made the Zinthari's plasma weapons seem primitive by comparison. The Zinthari point defense systems, designed to handle perhaps a dozen incoming threats simultaneously, were overwhelmed in seconds. The Eternal Dominion shuddered as 3 warheads detonated against its shields, overloading them instantly. Secondary explosions rippled across the hull. Thrax watched in horror as 17 of his ships simply ceased to exist in nuclear fireballs that briefly outshone the sun itself. "Return fire!" he screamed, but his weapons officers were already trying. Plasma bolts lanced out toward the human fleet, but they moved with impossible precision, their vessels dancing between attacks with an agility that defied their size. For every human ship the Zinthari destroyed, 10 more Zinthari vessels fell. Then the human fleet closed to engagement range, and Thrax understood true fear. The human warships weren't just numerous. They were technological marvels. Their railguns fired projectiles at speeds that turned simple metal into devastating kinetic weapons. Their laser arrays carved through Zinthari armor like it was tissue paper. And their coordination was flawless, each ship moving in perfect sync with thousands of others, creating overlapping fields of fire that left no escape routes. But it was their fighters that truly terrified him. Thousands of small craft, each piloted by a human who flew with reckless courage that bordered on insanity. They wove through the battle like metallic wasps, targeting engines and weapon systems with precision strikes. Every Zinthari ship they crippled became a liability, colliding with others or drifting helplessly into human firing solutions.
"Sir, we've lost 40% of the fleet,"
his tactical officer reported, his voice breaking with panic. "Our formation is collapsing." Thrax stared at the tactical display, watching the green icons representing his proud armada blink out one by one. In all his years of conquest, he had never witnessed such carnage. The humans fought with a ferocity and skill that spoke of countless battles, of a species that had honed the art of warfare to deadly perfection. "How?" he whispered.
"How did they advance so quickly?"
As if in answer, Admiral Chen's face appeared on his view screen again, transmitted across all Zinthari channels. "You wondered how we became so powerful so fast," she said. "The answer is simple. Humanity has been fighting wars since we learned to hold sticks. We've fought each other for thousands of years, developing tactics and strategies and weapons. When we finally united and looked to the stars, we didn't stop preparing. We didn't stop innovating, because we knew eventually someone like you would come." She leaned forward, her expression hardening. "You chose the wrong species to underestimate, Commander. This is your last chance. Surrender or be destroyed." Thrax looked at the tactical display. His fleet was down to less than 1,000 ships, and the human fleet showed no signs of slowing. Pride warred with survival instinct, but ultimately survival won. "We surrender," he said, the words tasting like ash. The human assault ceased immediately, though their weapons remained locked on target. As Zinthari ships powered down their weapons and prepared to be boarded, Thrax realized the truth that would soon spread across the galaxy. Humanity wasn't a sleeping giant waiting to be awakened. They were a coiled spring, compressed by centuries of internal conflict, ready to unleash that accumulated potential on anyone foolish enough to threaten them. The day the Zinthari armada fell became a turning point in galactic history. 47 worlds heard the story and took note. The humans of Earth, it turned out, had been preparing for this moment since the day they first looked up at the stars and wondered who else was out there. And when those others finally arrived with hostile intent, humanity was ready.